Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyamadi Paschatya Deshtarine. Okay, so we've been reading the Nectar of Instruction, and then we are on text 8 today. We almost completed text 8 in the previous time we discussed the Nectar of Instruction. We have a few more paragraphs remaining in text 8. We'll try to discuss that today. As always, like we've been doing throughout our Nectar of Instruction discussion, we've been singing this song called Vaishnav Thakur. So we'll continue doing that, which is basically a song on the Nectar of Instruction and also requests for the mercy of the spiritual master. Mataji, can you unmute your mic so that you can do a recall when or somebody is raising their hands?
Yeah, Ritu Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can do that.
Yes, okay, thank you. O he Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara He Dashe Koruna Kori.
Sorry, my throat is not good. Oh, hey Vaishnava Thakur, Doya Sagara, Idase Karuna Kori.
Diya pada chaya shodo he amaya tomara charana dori.
Diya pada chaya shodo he amaya tomara charana dori.
Chaya begadomi chaya dosha shodhi Chaya guna deho dase.
Chaya begadomi, chaya dosha sodhi, chaya guna deho dase.
Chaya shata shanga deho he amare boshechi shangera ashe.
Chaya sada sanga deho hi hamare boshte sangle ashi.
Ekaki amara nahi paya bala Harinama Sankirtane.
Ekaki amara nahi paya bala Harinama Sankirtane.
Tumi kripa kori Shraddha bindu diya Deho Krishna namadhane.
Tumhi kirpa kori Shraddha bindu diya Deho Krishna Nama Dhani.
Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati ache.
Krishna se tomara, Krishna diti paro, tomara shakti ache.
Ami to Kangala, Krishna Krishna boli, daye tava pache pache.
আমি তো কাঙ্গালা কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ বলি গাহি তব পাছে পাছে
Daye tava pache pache.
দাহে তব পাছে পাছে.
Thank you, Mataji. This is the translation for the song. O Venerable Vaishnava, devotee of Krishna, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. This text too is the first 4 verses of the Nectar of Instruction. The 6 urges are the 6 passions, 6 faults are the 6 things that destroy bhakti, and the 6 qualities are the 6 things that we can do that can make our bhakti flourish, and the 6 kinds of association are what we discuss on text 4. Text 3, I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtana of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I am simply a servant running behind you, shouting, Krishna, Krishna. Okay. Okay. So this is the text for today. So this is continuing in the same meter from text 5, which was Krishne Tiyasya Giritam. So it's the same meter that we've been singing, and it's the same meter as the Govinda Madhi Purusham meter that we sing every day. Tannamarupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Vraje Tadanuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayedakilam Mityupadesha Saram. This is very, very similar in the first sentence, at least, in the first part of the verse, at least, to the previous text, text 7, which says, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya. And this also goes, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu. So in the first text, Rupa Goswami told us about the 6 kinds of urges that we need to control. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udaropastha vegam, etan veganyo vishahetadira, sarvam apimam prativim sishishat. So one who is able to control all these urges is eligible to make disciples all over the world. And then in text 2, Rupa Goswami said, what are the 6 things that will not help us in controlling these 6 urges, which is atyahara, prayasascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, jana sangascha, laulyamcha, shadbir bhaktir, vinashyati, he says. And then in text 3, we saw that Rupa Goswami said the 6 things that will actually help us control the urges, which is Utsahan, Nishchaya, Derya, Tattat Karma Pravartanat, Sangat Tyagat, Sato Vrite, Shadbir Bhaktir, Prasidati. So in text 2 and 3, he's giving us 6 things to do and 6 things not to do. But among those 12 do's and don'ts, 3 of them deal just with association. So basically 25% of those 12 things that Rupa Goswami is saying is just dealing with association. So texts 4, 5, and 6 talk about association. So in text 4, Rupa Goswami says, what is association? Which is Dadati Pratigrishnati Guhyamakyati Prichati Bhungte Bhojete Cheva Shadvidam Preeti Lakshana. He says the 6 loving exchanges. And then how to apply those 6 loving exchanges among the different categories of devotees is what Rupa Goswami goes in detail. It discusses in 5 and 6, and Prabhupada goes in detail in his purports. And in text 7, we return back to the process of devotional service itself. And text 8 is also the progression of that process. So in text 7, it talks about how by Sat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya, by chanting the names of Krishna, by glorifying him, his Nama, Sat Krishna Nama Rupa Charitadi. So from name, it goes to the form, and then it goes to his character and glories like that. It's a very natural progression when we are constantly chanting Krishna's names and associating with his form and pastimes like that. Then Rupa Goswami gives this example of jaundice, right? When a patient is afflicted with jaundice, the medicine that they give is sugar candy. But unfortunately for the afflicted patient, he can't taste the sweetness of the sugar candy. But still, that is a medicine. So as we keep taking the medicine, eventually when the jaundice goes away, the patient can taste the sweetness of the sugar candy. So similarly, initially we might not be able to taste the sweetness of devotional service, but as we keep chanting and associating with the names, forms, pastimes of Krishna, then Rupa Goswami says it destroys the problems from the root. Tadgata Mula Hantri. So this is not a superficial solution. The solution is that it completely uproots all the undesired things from our heart. So, and in text 8, Rupa Goswami speaks about Raganuga Bhakti here, that Maharaj explained it in the previous session that we had. So the translation goes, the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So this is where we have to continue from Srila Prabhupada's purport today. So this is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and we've seen throughout the purports of the Nectar of Instruction is that Prabhupada will sometimes explicitly specify that in his Anuvritti commentary, which is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on the Nectar of Instruction, he would specifically mention it like that. And here, Prabhupada says, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, always the purport we've seen is divided into 2 sections on most of the purports. First is Srila Prabhupada's comments on the verse itself, and then he gives his Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's comments. So here, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. So we might ask, if somebody is not really interested or developed interest in Krishna consciousness, how can they give up material motives? So in Tava Pache Pache, Maharaj says that the development of interest here that Prabhupada is mentioning is our actual taste in Krishna consciousness. We might not have reached the point of ruchi in our devotional service, but while we're performing, we are constantly getting a little bit of ruchi, and therefore that's sustaining us. So this is what it actually means, is that we have interest in Krishna consciousness, but we've not really tasted what it actually is. So when we are in that platform, we should give up all material motives and train our mind by following the progressive regulative principles, which is basically Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Rupa Goswami will describe extensively about it in the Nectar of Devotion. But this is the bhakti that has the following bhakti according to rules and regulations. That's basically what it is. And when we are doing that in this way, after developing a taste for such things, so when we are constantly performing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, and over time after purification, we can actually taste actual bhakti. At that point, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. We spoke about this the last time a little bit, where we follow somebody who in whose mellow we want to serve Krishna, right? We'll speak a little bit more about it today also. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. So we start with Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, and when we are doing it properly, we come to a point of Nishtha and then a little bit of Ruchi, and from that point, we start doing spontaneous devotional service. So Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is essential for us to progress to that spontaneous devotional service. So Prabhupada continues. This is, Prabhupada doesn't specifically mention Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but the section that Prabhupada is referring to here with the different dashas or stages is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his book called Harinama Chintamani and Nama Bhajana specifically. So these are the different stages that Srila Prabhupada says that we go through. So the first is Shravana Dasha. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Dasha, the stage of hearing. So the first step in devotional, different devotional processes, we have 9 devotional processes: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. The 9 kinds of devotional processes that we can perform. The most important of that is Shravanam and Kirtanam, and especially Shravanam to start with. The first is the hearing is very important. So that's the first stage. And then we move to Varna Dasha. Prabhupada says, by constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varna Dasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing of Krishna Katha. So initially we might try to hear, but we're not so attached to hearing Krishna Katha. And our hearing is not very constant. Or whatever we are hearing is not really penetrating us. We're not really understanding what we're hearing because we don't have the taste for hearing. But still, when we continue sticking to it, Srimad Bhagavatam says, the Shrinvatham Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. It says, Shrinvatham Swakatha Krishna, that when we are hearing the Krishna Katha or the pastimes of Krishna, all that is troublesome in the heart is completely destroyed. All that is inauspicious, right? Abhadra is completely destroyed. So when we are constantly hearing, although we don't have the initially we don't have the tendency to continuously hear, when we continue to do it as a principle of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, then we can come to the stage of Varna Dasha, where we're actually attached to hearing. We can understand things, put things in logical order, or we have much better taste of it. At least the first step is that you're able to understand things. What people are saying is you're able to logically organize it, and the understanding is much better. At that point, we get attached to hearing Krishna Katha. And from that point, when we continue hearing, then we come to this stage called Smarana Avastha. Prabhupada says when one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smarana Avastha, the stage of remembering. And even remembering is categorized into 5 different stages. The first is recollection. So initially we are hearing, but we're not able to recollect it really. But then when we are constantly hearing, we're able to recollect it. Then we're not just able to recollect it, but we're able to absorb more in what we've been hearing. And that absorption leads to meditation. And then we're constantly remembering. This meditation becomes constant. And then when the meditation becomes constant, we get into this we get into a trance. So these are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana, Prabhupada says. And he gives an example, different examples for those different steps or different progressions of smarana. So I should have put it here, but anyway, we'll see. So at first, the remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals. So like we discussed initially, we might hear, but we might not be able to recollect it, right? So now we've at least come to the point of recollection, but that recollection is interrupted. But then we're able to recollect, we're able to remember things, but then it's interrupted, right? But then we're trying, and over time we're able to hear uninterrupted, and we're able to remember uninterrupted also. And then this becomes very concentrated. Our remembrance becomes very concentrated, and at that point it actually turns into a meditation. And this meditation, at this point we're probably not meditating constantly. So then when meditation expands and becomes constant, then it is called anusmriti. Constant remembrance, right? Smriti means remember, anusmriti means to follow or to go behind, like that. And then by uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi or spiritual trance. So basically the 5 things that Prabhupada mentions here: recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, he expands it a little bit here. And then finally we get to this final dasha, or the stage called the sampatti dasha. So after smarana dasha or samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. So this is the point where we've perfected our lives. We exactly know what our relationship with Krishna is. And that is called sampatti dasha, the perfection of life. The entire process of bhakti is just to reawaken our forgotten relationship with Krishna. This is the entire process. We've forgotten who we are, what a relationship with Krishna, and we're here in this material world. And by the process of bhakti, it just reawakens us. We finally remember who we are and what our position is. And Prabhupada continues and gives a citation from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in regulational devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of the scripture. So this section that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning from the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the conversation between Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami, where he's explaining the process of devotional service. This is when Sanatana Goswami is being jailed, and finally he's able to get out of the jail, and he comes and meets Mahaprabhu in Varanasi, I think. So that's when Mahaprabhu, this is Sanatan Siksha. I think this is chapter 22, probably, of the Madhya Leela. I think Sanatan Siksha starts from chapter 19, if I'm not, or 20, if I'm not wrong. So in this way, Prabhupada continues, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. So we follow the principles, chant the rounds, follow the principles strictly, and chant good rounds. Then we can come to this point of developing attachment for Krishna's name, fame, qualities, and pastimes, and so forth. And then when one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. So that is why we have regulative principles, is because initially we don't have the spontaneity to serve Krishna. We really need a framework for us to push our mind to practice devotional service and to serve Krishna. But when we are constantly doing that, and when we are fixed in our regulated devotional service, then the spontaneous devotional service awakens. And at this stage is called Raga Bhakti. Raga means attachment. This we discussed last time also. Raga Bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love. So initially it's Vaidhi Bhakti, Bhakti according to rules and regulations, because we don't really have the spontaneous nature to serve Krishna. We have to be told, at this time you have to wake up, at this time you have to chant, at this time you have to worship the deity like this. So many rules and regulations are given so that we can become disciplined in our practice of bhakti, because the spontaneity is not there. But once the spontaneity is there, those rules and regulations are not really required, because we don't need to be told to serve Krishna. That natural spontaneity to serve Krishna is awakened. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. This is called Raganuga Bhakti. So when the spontaneous devotional service has awakened in us, then we kind of get a sense of our service to Krishna. So then we can see which devotee is serving in the mellow that we are inclined to serve in, and then try to follow in their footsteps. Raga, Anuga. Anuga means to follow, and Raga means the attachment. So we are following somebody who's attached to Krishna in the way that we want to serve Krishna in. So that is Raga Anuga Bhakti. And finally, Prabhupada concludes by saying, Raghanuga Bhakti or devotional service can be executed in 5 different ways. We all know that we can associate with Krishna in 5 different rasas, primary rasas at least. In Shanta rasa, which is neutral state, we see that Krishna is the supreme person. We are in complete awe in Krishna, but we don't really initiate any service towards Krishna like that. We don't initiate it. So when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna, or the flowers around Krishna's neck. So I'll get to the picture later, but you can observe this picture that this has all the rasas that are being mentioned here. This is such a nice picture. So then in Dasya rasa, or relationship in servitude to the Lord, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chitrak, Patrak, or Raktak. So these are Ragatmika devotees who have perfected this particular service to Krishna in this particular rasa, right? So then we can start following such devotees and develop our service. So Ragana Bhakti is still practice. We're still practicing devotional service. We have not completely attained the stage of bhava yet, where our relationship with Krishna has matured, and we are almost there, where the entire fruit it's of prema is going to awaken. But Raghanuga Bhakti is still, we need to practice Raghanuga Bhakti. So like that, we practice with these devotees who have perfected their relationship with Krishna, in that who perfected their service to Krishna in the relationship that we want to serve Krishna in. So then in the friendly Sakyarasa, so relationship with Krishna and friendship, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridhama, or Sudama. So these are the devotees who are related to Krishna in friendship. In the Vatsalya Rasa, characterized by paternal affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya Rasa, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani, or her lady friends such as Lalita and her serving maids, Manjaris like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. So this is the essence of all instructions. So nectar of instruction itself is an essence. In that, Rupa Goswami is speaking from various scriptures and giving us 11 incredible verses. And among all of that, Rupa Goswami says, this is the essence of all instructions. And here Rupa and Rati Manjaris are, Rupa is Srila Rupa Goswami, and Rati is Raghunath Das Goswami. So in our disciplic succession, at least, we serve under Lalita Devi, who is one of the primary friends of Srimati Radharani, and her serving maids, Rupa and Rati, are our acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So that's all I had for this. This is a really exalted topic on which I have no adhikar on speaking, at least. So I just spoke what Prabhupada has written, and if there are any questions or comments, we can try to answer, but not really sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. You give a very, very nice lecture, Prabhu. So is it a time, Prabhu, to start our question and answer session, or you have to start our 9th verse?
No. I just had this to speak, and then I thought we could see if there are any questions or comments, and then Maharaj can start text 9 next week.
Okay, next week, 9. Okay, Prabhuji. So I request to everyone, if you have any question, any realization, so please raise your hands and feel free to ask to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Okay, so might be Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah, and
Krishna.
I also want to mention before I start answering questions. We're definitely on the YD platform, and that too on the very lower levels of YD platform. So my explanation of this is very theoretical from the books on what I'm reading. So take my answers from that perspective. A disclaimer from
Hare Bol.
Hare
No,
Krishna
no.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, can you hear me okay?
Yes, bro, I can hear.
Yeah, Prabhuji, when we are talking about Raganu Bhakti, can you please explain it with an example?
So I remember this from the 10th canto, uh, this chapter where Mother Yashoda is boiling the milk, and then Krishna is drinking milk from Mother Yashoda. So this entire chapter, right, that starts off the Damodar Leela. So Prabhupada writes there in one of the texts that if somebody wants to have maternal affection towards Krishna, if that's the relationship that we want to have, then you should follow Mother Yashoda. So which is what Prabhupada said here also, that the examples of Vatsalya Rasa or Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, right? So when we're practicing devotional service, this is my understanding. So when we're rigorously practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, and then we come to the point of Nishtha, where we're very stable, and then we're actually able to taste Bhakti, Ruchi, to the point where we're actually able to taste Bhakti, then the spontaneous devotional service starts awakening in us, where it's not really, I'm not doing because the rules asks me to do, or if I fail, I'm committing sin or something like that because of promise, but it's because I'm spontaneously interested in serving Krishna, not because I've committed or vowed to any rules and regulations. At that point, I'm inclined to serve Krishna in a particular rasa, in a particular mellow.
Mm.
So for me to become perfect, at that point, I don't know how to serve Krishna in that rasa, right? But there are expert devotees who know how to perfectly serve Krishna in that particular rasa, in that particular mellow. So then we start practicing serving Krishna in that particular mellow by following such expert devotees or perfected devotees. So like that, the example that Prabhupada gave was, if we want to serve Krishna in a paternal relationship, then one of the devotees who are expert in serving Krishna in such a relationship is Mother Yashoda. So then we can start trying to follow Mother Yashoda on how to serve Krishna nicely in that particular relationship.
Prabhuji, that I understood, but the thing is that when you say spontaneously service,
Yes.
right? So like in case of Mother Yashoda or in case of Nand Maharaj, that was not a spontaneous thing. Or is it so?
It is more than spontaneous, no?
Right.
In their cases, their entire life, their raga atmika, right? Their atma, their life and soul is that relationship with Krishna. So they've more than spontaneous. Everything that they do is so that Krishna can be satisfied. No.
Okay. So in our case, suppose like we got some service to Krishna, so and that is spontaneous, means we are never planned for that, and we go to temple or we go to some religious place and it gives. So in that manner, you are talking about that is spontaneous.
No. Spontaneous, not in that sense.
Okay.
Spontaneous in the sense of our attitude towards the service.
Oh.
So when I go to serve Krishna, my attitude, at least when I'm beginning devotional service, is I'm pushing myself to do it. The natural tendency to do that service is not there. Either somebody is giving me that service to do, or even if I'm doing it, I'm not able to sustain that service for long periods of time, because that spontaneity towards Krishna has not come, because we've not really tasted what sweetness of bhakti. No, so we have to be told, you have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, you have to attend the Mangalarati, you have to chant japa during this time. But when we are spontaneous, nobody has to tell us. We are automatically there at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
because we want to see Krishna like
So
that.
here is spontaneous. You're referring to your default things, means it comes to your mind or your body that I have to do it. No, there is nothing to push or nothing to any other to say.
Correct.
Inbuilt from your in heart that I have to do this service to please Krishna.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a very small question. Can you explain the difference between Raganuga Bhakti and Ragamitta Bhakti?
Ragatmika.
Mm.
Yeah. So Ragatmika means those devotees who have perfected their practice of devotional service. These are perfected living entities. Like not even they could not. They are also like Mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba, like that. They are, and the examples that we read, like Raktak, Chitrak, Patrak, in different relationships with Krishna, there are devotees who have perfected serving Krishna in such a relationship, right? So such devotees are called Ragatmika Bhaktas, or whose entire Atma or their entire being is that attachment to Krishna, right? They know nothing else other than just to serve Krishna in such a relationship. So this is Ragatmika Bhakti. This is perfected. But whereas Radhanuga means, Raga means attachment, Anuga means to follow, right? So when we are practicing Radhanuga Bhakti, we are practicing a Ragatmika devotee. So a devotee who has perfected serving Krishna in such a relationship. So we are trying to follow such a devotee so that we can also try to perfect our service to Krishna in that relationship. So Ragatmika is perfected, Raganuga is still practice. We're still trying to perfect our devotional service.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. One more question, Prabhu. Prabhuji, can you please explain the process of progress in devotional service from the stage of hearing to absorption?
We did that in the text today, no? That Prabhupada was saying that when we start hearing, right? When we start hearing, our hearing is very interrupted, or we don't even want to hear. In Tava Pache Pache, Maharaj gives this example of a person who comes to the who is coming to the LA temple. So this person was basically living on beer all week, and then would come to the Sunday feast. That was probably the only meal probably he was having. So he would eat the Sunday feast, and then he was coming probably for a year or so. And after a year, I think it finally dawned on him that the prasadam that he was eating was vegetarian. So he's been hearing in the class for over a year, he would come sit in the class and eat the feast, but it never even occurred to him, or the devotees were talking about prasadam and how it was vegetarian for over a year, and still that really didn't even register in his mind, right? So this is our initial stage of hearing, at least, right? We might be hearing, but it's not really penetrating our minds like that. And it might be interrupted also. It's not continuous and sustained like that. So, but when we constantly keep hearing, this hearing has this effect of purifying our heart, right? That's the verse that we said. Srinvatam so Katha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. So when we are hearing constantly, then hearing Krishna's names, forms, activities, pastimes actually starts purifying our heart. And in our cases, we're trying to do more than that. Not just hearing, we're also chanting Krishna's names, eating Krishna prasadam, like that. That way, the purification is faster if we do it right. And then we can start hearing better, and whatever we're hearing will actually start penetrating into our hearts. Initially, at least in the mind. So when I started hearing, my initial hearing would just be about finding information. So what's there here, what's there here, what's there here, what's there here. So just a method of organizing knowledge, and nothing deeper than that, at least. But then when we start hearing more, it gives more than the knowledge itself, right? We start seeing things from different perspectives, trying to apply what we're hearing and things like that. And slowly like that, when we're constantly doing, it goes into smaranam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. That's when we start remembering Krishna's pastimes. And then this remembrance is interrupted, but then it starts becoming constant, and then it becomes concentrated, and then the meditation becomes really strong. And at that point, we actually get into this, we really absorbed, and then we get into the stage of samadhi. That's what Prabhupada was explaining in those 5 stages, from hearing all the way to absorption or samadhi.
Very well. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. But Prabhuji, actually my hearing is not much good, but whatever I hear a day, like a half an hour or a 1 hour. But the thing is this, the problem is this, Prabhuji, after some hours, I forgot. I'm not taking a single sentence for my absorption, and till like a 10 days or 20 days or a month, I have to uh, uh, think about that, because I forgot the thing. So how can I improve this problem, Prabhu? This is the main thing which I feel so bad, and I can't, there is no, I'm, whatever I think, I forgot, Prabhu. So this is the problem. So please help me, Prabhu. How can I solve this problem?
So the best student is the teacher, right? When you're hearing something, when you try to teach it to somebody else, then you can try to understand it better, and you can probably try to remember it more, because when you're teaching, you understand it much better than just hearing. This is our process. We hear so that we can teach others, right? We can spread this message of Mahaprabhu to everybody else. So when we are hearing from that perspective, then probably it helps. That it really helps me. This Nectar of Instruction classes that we're giving is actually more beneficial to me than probably all of you. I feel I'm going back, reading the Nectar of Instruction from the perspective of explaining it better. In that way, I am understanding much better every time I go through the NOI. So this is something that's helped me. And everybody is different. Everybody's nature is different. We have to figure out our different techniques in which we can remember things. And Maharaj has so many nice mnemonics that he's created. Like, for example, if you want to remember the different chronology of Bhagavatam, Maharaj has Dap Up. So these are the 5 daughters and sons of Swayambhuva Manu: Devahuti, Akuti, Prasuti, Uttanapada, and Priyavrata. And all the, from Canto 3 all the way to Canto 6 goes through the different descendants of these daughters and sons of Swayambhuva Manu. So you can try to develop mnemonics like this to see if you can remember things. And ultimately, over time, it will penetrate our hearts, right? Some things will really be close to us, so then it will stick to us. So that way we'll have remembrance. And ultimately, Krishna promises, right? He says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam ena mam upayantite. He says, I give the intelligence by which one can come to me. And how? He says, Tesham evanukam partam aham ajnana jamtamaha nashayam yatma bhavasto jnana deepena bhashvata. So Krishna says, I destroy the ignorance with the lamp of knowledge from within the heart. Krishna says this, makes this promise. So if you're sincere, Krishna will also help us.
Yes, Prabhuji. I can try. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a very, very wonderful answers. So thank you.
One thing that I understood much later, I wish I had understood much earlier, is that devotional service is not a one-way street. So it's not just us, right? There is another person on the other side. When we're trying, Krishna is also reciprocating. And we have the entire parampara behind us that we can gain strength from, our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and the entire parampara, right? So sometimes we might think we're doing things alone, but then without their mercy, what can we do? So if we depend on their mercy, then things start settling down, you know? It's not so overwhelming.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Bhakti Baba Mataji, do you have any question? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. Prabhu, one question in my mind. You told us about Vatsalya stage, but what about Madhurya stage? What consciousness? How can we improve, or how can we think or practice for that stage?
So the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddhe Chitta Karaya Udai. So what it says is, we have an eternal relationship with Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. It's eternal. The love for Krishna that we have is eternal. Sadhya Kabunai. We cannot get it from outside, you know. But we can reawaken that relationship. How we can reawaken it is Shravanadi Shuddhe Chitta Karaya Udai. When we hear and then our consciousness is purified, this relationship with Krishna awakens. So I don't know how we can specifically practice for Madhurya. It's way above my pay grade. But if at all we have this relationship with Krishna, if Madhurya Rasa is the relationship that we have with Krishna, then when we are in Raganuga platform, when we actually know this is the mellow in which we want to serve Krishna, then Krishna will provide us, the spiritual master will provide us with different tools by which we can perfect that relationship with Krishna, or that service to Krishna.
Okay.
It's not that one day I can decide. At least my understanding is that I cannot decide that, oh, I want to have Madhuri Rasa. The rasa, or the relationship that we have with Krishna, is eternal. It's there. We've just forgotten that relationship. All we're trying to do is reawaken that relationship. And Prabhupada says on the absolute platform, everything is absolute. A sand or a dust in Vrindavan is having the same ecstasy as the Manjaris or the Gopis of Vrindavan. In the absolute platform, it's in Vrindavan. So even if we are the dust of Vrindavan, probably in the material platform that we are in, we might think it's very lowly. Whereas the Gopis are directly serving Krishna like that. But the devotees are wanting to be dust at the lotus feet of the Gopis. This is what the devotees want to be. They're not thinking, I want to directly be a Gopi or a Manjari, directly serving Krishna like that. So it's very dual here in this material world. We think this is high, this is low, like that. But whichever position we are in, whichever relationship that we have with Krishna, will be the most happy in that relationship in serving Krishna.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. If anybody have any question, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and feel free to ask to Prabhuji. Maharaji, do you want to say something? Because today 8th verse is completed. So if you want to say something or guide us, so it's great for us.
No, it was PowerPoint show was very nice, very pleasing. Yeah, and very nice presentation. I was just thinking one kind of nice area, of course, is Nama Rupa. They were chanting, and then the Rupa means, worshiping the deity, the form of Krishna. And so in the beginning, I mean, this is my kind of my experience. For example, I was a treasurer, I was in the temple, this and that, and then nobody really wanted to do the noon offering for Radha Gokulananda in the San Francisco temple, because they were already had their work clothes on and doing this and that, and they were out and this and that and so forth, so on. So somehow or other I was kind of got I see a bitey box here or something, and fear of the temple president. I was doing it, but I okay, it was no taste for it, anything else, but then I realized very quickly that when I would go into, when I take shower, tilak, and then when I go in on the altar and start setting up the paraphernalia, and then I would become happy. It would be like a happy experience, a blissful experience. So my mind might be thinking, blah, 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 and stuff, but my intelligence was saying, no, you know that as soon as you're there. And so my mind was saying, yeah, it's fact. So it's one kind of situation where, we're becoming liberated. We're starting to get some happiness in the process. And then, every day you're there on time, you're making the offering. There's one wet sabji, one dry sabji. There's puris, pakoras, salt, pepper, nectar, what else we got? Yeah, rice, dal, and the tulsi leaves. It's on time, everything else, and you're liberated. Because you're always absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and you're liberated. Okay. But then you start thinking. I was thinking, well, what is? I mean, I'm just kind of was doing this. I'm happy because I'm liberated. And these kind of things, and I know, okay, then the time of death, somebody will help me out because I did this. So my motivation is liberation or sense gratification, celestial sense gratification. Hey, But then I started thinking, well, but this is like, hey, Radha Gokulananda, here's your lunch. I'll be back in half an hour. It's like at least, Prabhupada says we have to learn the little art of crying for Krishna. So that's Raganuga. It's not Sahajiya. They want to do it for their gratification, but devotee wants to do it. At least let me act like I'm, some kind of feeling there. I can ornament it with that. It won't be so bad. It won't require Krishna and Mother Yashoda to make so much adjustment. If I'm, And so then we're thinking, okay, well, we can be offering lunch or offering lunch to Krishna in the mood of the cowherd boys. There's so many descriptions of how they have lunch with Krishna. And they're sharing the food and they're playing and everything else and so forth, so on. So you can be sort of thinking, okay, this is like I'm cowherd boy and we're all here and, with Krishna. Okay, that's, Sakya Ras. Or you can be thinking, well, how does Mother Yashoda offer lunch to Krishna? Okay, then, and then of course, Madhurya Ras is, well, how are the gopis? It's a forest picnic, and the gopis have arranged a very, very nice, a picnic after swimming and having so many water sports, and everybody's tired and hungry, has a good appetite. So right away, so you can start doing it in that mood. And if you're liberated, you're following principles, everything else, and it's natural. You want to do it. It's just like without doing that, you feel, my goodness, it's just like, I can think these things. Why not? It's not I'm not committing any offense. And so that's what I would say is a very natural. He probably even says that the deity worship is very, very natural arrangement. Actually, he says that one cannot develop Madhurya Ras, the nectar of devotion, without worshiping the deity. So in all these cases, how are you offering lunch to Krishna? When you begin to think about different devotees, and of course, then like Prabhu was saying, it's not a one-way street. Krishna reciprocates on his side, and you discover some prayers, you discover some this or that, or some ideas coming. Oh, okay, yeah. Krishna sent that section to me. And so in Raganuga Bhakti, you're in touch with the Paramatma, you're a Goswami. And then there's these words that Prabhupada uses. Spontaneous is Raganuga, it's ecstatic is Bhava Bhakti, and pure devotional service is Prema Bhakti. And they're kind of like, maybe that's the way Bhakti Siddhanta used it and so on. But spontaneous means, again, that, okay, I have to follow rules and regulations, but now, it's, for example, we only start offering the chadar to Krishna at a certain time. But spontaneously, we're thinking, well, it's cold. Krishna needs a chadar, like that. And you're not just like putting something on the statue and following the real rules, but begin to thinking about what Krishna wants and stuff. Then you begin to think, okay, let me design the menu for the entire week, because okay, Krishna has this one day and this another day, and and so it's just spontaneous, and distinguished from sahaja because you're following these principles nicely. And so I'm not doing this for my satisfaction, I'm doing this for Krishna's satisfaction. And it grows. In the beginning, it's like a little bit, but then later on, it grows more and more. And then you may, because you're in a female body, in the beginning, you maybe feel rather nuga for the way the gopis deal with Krishna. But then as you go on, you actually realize that you're more attached to the way that Bhima deals with Krishna. So even though externally you may be a very delicate, little flower, sweet, and all this kind of stuff, in your heart, you have a beard and big muscles, like that. Sure. And then you can see this. You become purified. These devotees are doing exactly the same things that we're doing, but now I'm beginning to see that they're doing it with a different mood and stuff. Okay, that's all I had to comment. A very, very nice class. And like you said, every time we go through this, it becomes more purifying.
Maharaj, I had a question on what you were saying. So we go on the altar, we're serving Krishna, so we can think about how the friends of Krishna would serve him, or how Mother Yashoda would serve him lunch like that. Or when Krishna is feeling cold, we're giving him chadar. So even if we are not on the platform of Radhanuga Bhakti, even in Vaidhi, we are not in the Sahajiya way, but in a spontaneous way, trying to see what Krishna wants. And is that also a practice of Radhanuga Bhakti when we are doing that, Maharaj?
Yeah, I mentioned this. The next Tavapachi Pachi is our suggestions. It's not the same thing as you. A lot of it. But I was thinking the same thing. It's not like, because this German mentality, you think you are a Shraddha, Avartanavritti, Nishta, or Ruchi. It's like going from one box to another, like that and so on. But it's more like a curve, Okay. I'm at the point of Ruchi, but sometimes I'm only on the level of Nishta and I'm not getting Ruchi, but I'm chanting everything very steady, all this kind of stuff. And sometimes on the other side, which Asaktis, and I become really attached, to these things. So, and maybe then once every 2 years, I get a little taste of prema. Once every 2 years, I have some real shaky doubts. My faith is shaken. So, and then I heard it was Govinda Maharaj, the devotee, making the same point, that it's just maybe our basic platform is like this and that, but then sometimes the modes are influencing us or something. So it's not. Prabhupada one time, what is it? He says, somebody said, they asked one yogi guy who was a dubious character, because he said, he was saying things, and they said, well, how do you know this? And he said, and he quoted the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam parivorvakam. Okay, so I'm getting inspiration, basically, he said. So Prabhupada asked the devotees, or what did you say? They couldn't say anything, and Prabhupada said, this shows you don't know the philosophy. Why am I writing all these books? He said, that is for initiated devotee. And of course, initiated devotee, we're really talking about the level of second initiation and so on. So yeah, once you become like, on that level of Brahmana, fixed and chanting and everything else, even not formally, then you can start to trust your inspiration, trust your insight. And the beginning, and always we're confirming it with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. But then, you should, okay, that's what I think and everything else. And then we do start to refine. We find more as Uttamadhikari, then you've got your Shastra to develop to such an extent, and the logic developed to such an extent that you can really give, Shastric support, for everything you're doing. So it's okay. We can. I mean, it's almost guaranteed. I mean, so many people here may have had a moment of prema bhakti. Narada Muni was getting experiences which were way beyond this level. To give inspiration like that, and you realize this is just some special mercy or something, and I need to protect this.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Very good. Thank you so much, Maharaji. Nice explanation. Thank you. So, Prabhuji, there is no more question. If you allow, should we find up our call here?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Srimat Prakshak Maharaji ki jai. His Grace Srinath Krishna Das Prabhuji ki jai. Pancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhaiva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Samast Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, once again. Very nectarian session, and especially the question answer session will take more explanation. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for everything.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Request to
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Week you have to join our call. Maharaji will start ninth shloka of the NOI. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much once again. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat.
Please end. Okay.